Hey YouTube, Mr. Preacher Man 75 with you. This is going to be the first installment of my, what could be a couple of videos here on tips for new gun buyers, or first time gun buyers anyway. I started out to do this about a week or so ago. Started thinking about what I was going to do and sat down to shoot my first video, and it just got really long. I thought, I had this grand plan that I was going to give all these great tips for people that hadn't ever bought a gun before, didn't know a lot about it, and started thinking that I'd go into terminology and definitions of things, and all of this different kind of stuff, and even sat down and made a PowerPoint slideshow that I was going to use on my video. And when I actually sat down to shoot the video, I was about 20 minutes into it and hadn't gotten halfway through what I wanted to say just for the first part of it. So decided to scrap that and did some more thinking and looking around on YouTube for what was available, and actually found a couple of really good ones that I'll probably go ahead and link to that were covering the same type of things that I wanted to say in that first video. So I figured, why reinvent the wheel? So I will probably go ahead and, like I said, put a link to at least one or two of those videos that I found that already covered the material that I was thinking about. But I did want to go ahead and make a couple of different videos on different topics that I haven't seen a lot of people or heard a lot of people talk about. And I'm just going to go ahead and dive right in, because really, if you are someone that's looking to buy their first gun and has questions, and that's really who this video is mostly for, then the question you will probably want to know is, what gun should I buy? And when it comes down to it, that is the biggest question that you probably want to have answered. And there's a lot of good videos out there that kind of lead you to asking the right type of questions, but I haven't seen a lot of videos out there that'll just come out and tell you what they think you should look at. So I'm going to do that, and it's impossible to tell you exactly which gun is going to be the right fit for you without asking some other questions. But I'm going to at least try to point you in the direction that I would look, given a couple of different circumstances. Really, in order to answer that question adequately, which gun should I buy, you have to know, first of all, what are you going to use the gun for? If you've ever watched any of Nut and Fancy's gun reviews, he uses the term philosophy of use, or POU. And that's a valid question that has to be answered before you can even get into thinking about which gun I should buy, because you have to know what a gun is. A tool, and you have to know what the tool is going to be used for. Are you looking for a home defense weapon? Are you looking for a concealed carry weapon? Are you looking for a gun that's going to be used recreationally? Those are kind of probably the three main ones. If you're a first-time gun buyer, those are probably you're probably going to fit into at least one of those categories. And certainly there's others, but those are the three main ones if you're a first-time gun buyer that you'll probably fit into. And then you're going to have to talk about price point, because listen, you already know, if you've done any kind of shopping already, that you can be talking about a $200 or $300 investment, or you can be talking about an $1,100 or $1,200 investment, and prices go up rather steeply. So there's some questions that obviously I can't answer for you, that you'll have to know for yourself. But I did want to at least point you into some basic right directions, given which premise that you fall under, which use you're going to be looking at. So let's talk about good guns, and we're talking about, I don't know if I want to use the word budget gun or not, but some less expensive options for a home defense gun. And to me, if you're going to talk about an affordable home defense gun, and all you're talking about is a gun that you're going to put on your nightstand or keep in your house to defend your house. You're not going to worry about carrying it. This is for somebody that's not a CCW or a concealed carry holder. The list kind of starts and ends with the Ruger P95. Now I don't have a Ruger P95 to show you, but if you're new into looking at guns, that would be the first place I would point you to look, would be at the Ruger P95. It is a polymer framed semi-automatic 9mm pistol. Um, it comes, I think, with two 15-round magazines. It's a hammer-fired weapon, um, and it's going to run you right around $300, between $300 and $350 to get into a Ruger P95. It's probably bigger and bulkier than anybody would want to carry for a concealed carry gun, but if you're talking about just a home defense gun, that's probably where I would start out. Similar guns to that would be something like the Taurus Millennium Pro. That's a 12-round 9mm with a polymer frame. That's probably going to start out between around $350, $350 to $375. Another one might be the Car CW9, the CW series, or C series, CWCM series, are kind of their budget entry level guns, and there's different videos that'll tell you about those. You're looking at right now my CM9, that's a smaller version. The CW9 is a little bit bigger. It is a single stack though, and so you're only getting, I think, 7, maybe 8 rounds in the magazine out of that. But it is a bigger gun than the CM9. And those are going to run you around $370 probably in that price range. So you're still talking about less than $400. If you can't spend that much, if the $300 to $400 price range is more than you want to spend, there are some options for you as well. You can start looking at some things like revolvers, and I'm talking about new guns now. There's no way that I could really tell you what you're going to be able to find in a used weapon, because that just depends on where you are and what your dealer has and what's available where you are. But I'm talking about new guns, and the prices I'm throwing out, I think, are going to be a pretty good ballpark, pretty good approximation of what you might be able to find. But if you don't want to spend, or I'm not even talking about want to spend. When you're talking about buying a gun for defense, it's not what you want to spend, it's what you can spend. Let's be real. And so if you're talking about protecting yourself and protecting your family, I do recommend, buy the best gun that you can, buy from a major manufacturer, and buy something that you can handle and that you can be competent with. So, like I said, for me, that list starts with the Ruger P95. But if the $300 to $400 price range, like I said, is too high for you, maybe you'd want to look at something like the Bersa Thunder. The Bersa Thunder 380. I have owned one of those. I've shot one. The 380 caliber is a little bit smaller than the 9mm, and some people are really down on that, saying that it's underpowered. I will disagree with that, just for the fact that you're not talking about taking distant shots with it. You're talking about up close and personal defense with it. And the Bersa Thunder 380 would be adequate, I think, for home defense. Those guns come in about $250, so that would be the next price point down. And again, the Bersa Thunder is a gun that could be carried. It's probably not one that is going to be carried that often, because it's bigger than the other 380 caliber guns that are normally carried for concealed carry. So that one might be a good one that you could keep at home. In revolver, I've been seeing a lot of the Rock Island revolvers, or Armscore revolvers. Now, you can do your research on the company Armscore. It's a company out of the Philippines. They've been making guns for about 40 years, I think, in the Philippines. It's not a new company, but they've really become more popular in the U.S. recently because of their 1911 style semi-automatics that they're putting out now. But they make a couple of different models of revolver as well, and the revolvers are ugly as sin. I think they're very, very ugly guns, but from everything I understand, they're quality weapons. And if you needed something to defend your home, you could get into a Armscore or Rock Island, it's the same company, model 206 or model 200 Revolver for about $200, between $200 and $220, and those would be new prices. And that would be a 38 special 5-shot revolver, maybe even a 6-shot. It may be a 6-shot revolver. I'd have to check on that. They're not pretty guns, but from everything I understand, they function very well, and you'd be okay to defend your house with that. All that being said, let me say this. If you are strictly looking for something to defend your house and your family with, and you want to do it as inexpensively as possible, you're not necessarily even into guns that much, but maybe you have had break-ins in your neighborhood and you feel like you need to do something to protect your family. I don't know what the situation is. I'm going to steer you away, and this is my opinion, but I'll know that you'll find some other opinions that'll agree with me out there. I'm going to steer you away from handguns altogether. I'm going to tell you to go buy a shotgun. You can buy a good used pump shotgun at your local pawn shop for probably $100 to $150. If you want to buy a new one, you can buy a Mossberg 500 home defense shotgun for about $300, and that is a cool, quote-unquote, tactical-looking black shotgun that comes with a pistol grip. You can buy a Mossberg Maverick 12-gauge shotgun for less than $200, probably $180, brand new, and that will defend your home probably better than any of the other guns that I've told you about so far. You don't have to be accurate with it when you're shooting shotgun shells, and they're easy, easy to use, they're reliable, and so if you are in a position where you have to defend your house, you don't have a lot of money to spend, the first thing I'm going to tell you is forget about the handgun, go get a shotgun and defend your house and defend your family. So there you go. Those are the tips on home defense weapons at a budget price. Those are my suggestions of where to start. That's not an exhaustive list at all. That's just a list of where I would start. The guns that I'm familiar with, that I've either held and shot or have friends that have shot them and know somewhat about. If you want to go out and buy a Glock, that's fantastic, or a SIG, that's fantastic. But those are more pricey, those are more expensive, and higher end guns. What I'm talking about is on a budget, $300, $400, even less, or less than that. You can get a good quality gun that will serve the purpose of defending your home. So that's the first section. We'll come back and I'll talk again about budget priced guns if you're wanting to conceal and carry. We'll get into that in the next video, and then I'm even going to do one section and talk about gun shops. So hopefully this finds you all well. This has run a little bit longer than I wanted, but hopefully it'll be useful to somebody. This is Mr. Preacher Man 75. I'll talk to you later.